Barrie is growing rapidly. Its population is expected to almost double in the next 30 years. The growing city will put more pressure on existing infrastructure such as roads, water, parks, library, among others. Internet service is another important area coming under pressure. It is a must have for today's personal and professional needs. To ease the burden, most telecom towers are expected to go up in the near future. A tower is being proposed on 181 Livingston Street to serve the nearby area that does not have one. But during the recent meeting, residents closer to the proposed tower raised health, property value, and not in my backyard concerns. The final decision will be taken at the federal level, and the city does not have any say over the decision making. However, the city organized the meeting which did not have any representatives from the federal government. Residents complained about poor engagement from the city on the issue, and the company officials were not able to answer all questions related to health and other concerns. One resident even asked to put the tower in the backyard of Member of Parliament Doug Shipley.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's neighborhood meeting. My name is Tyler Butler and I'm a planner with the city's Development Services Department. The focus of tonight's meeting will be on an application for a telecommunication tower located at 181 Livingston Street East within the existing plaza at the corner of Livingston and St. Vincent Street. Tonight's meeting is not a statutory requirement under the Planning Act. So as the applications do not require for telecommunications tower municipal permits or approvals. The city's telecommunication protocol requires consultation with the public on proposed towers within the city of Barrie. So all decisions related to the telecommunications tower applications are made by Industry Canada. So the intent of tonight's meeting is to provide members of the public to become familiar with the development application and the telecommunications tower process and ask questions of the applicant for feedback. So what can you expect tonight? Well, you'll get a presentation from the applicant's representative describing the proposal and Industry Canada's review process. So you'll also get just a brief overview of the city's process and timelines, and you'll also have, of course, the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant and city staff and identify any concerns that you might have with the tower. What not to expect tonight. You will not have a city staff recommendation on the application as that's made by Industry Canada. And we will not be having a debate on the merits of the proposal between city staff and the applicant. So those that have registered for the meeting by providing their email address will receive an email later in the process letting them know when the applicant has received what's called their letter of concurrence. And that letter of concurrence is what the city gives a tower applicant once the consultation process has concluded. And what that letter of concurrence is for is to say that the neighborhood has been consulted and is aware of the tower proposal. So again, that's a step in the process. So the process that we're currently in, there has been a pre-consultation prior to this meeting tonight. And following this, staff will continue the technical review process and respond to any questions or inquiries that we receive tonight. And then again, once we've responded to those, either tonight verbally or through email, again, we will provide that letter of concurrence to the applicant to provide to Industry Canada. So with all of that being said, we will now move on to the applicant's presentation. So as mentioned, there is going to be the presentation and then the question and answer period. So please just sit tight with your comments and questions as we get there. So this is the telecommunications tower proposal for 181 Livingston Street. It is a 20-meter tall they call it a slim light pole design. So with that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the applicant. And Jan, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your team and begin your presentation.
Thank you, Tyler, for that brief introduction. My name is Jan and I will be presenting, and I'm joined by my colleagues Leticia and Dom, who will be able to answer any of your questions following this presentation. So we'll just begin and get right into it. Next slide, please. Okay, so telecommunication towers are regulated by federal legislation under the Radio Communication Act and Telecommunication Act administered by Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada. Through this Department of Industry Act, the Radio Communication Act, and the Radio Communication Regulations regarding the objectives of the Telecommunications Act, the Minister is responsible for spectrum management in Canada. The Minister is also responsible for developing national goals and policies to prevent radio communication interference or harm to the Canadian public telecommunication networks and ensures the safety of personnel working on these facilities. ISED Canada requires that proponents consult with the municipality and other governing agencies on location and design of the proposed tower and conducting a consultation process to make residents in the immediate area aware of the proposal. And so for this proposal, we are following the City of Barrie's protocol for consideration of telecommunication facilities and applications. Next slide. Thank you. So Health Safety Code 6 sets out the recommended safety limits for human exposure to radio frequency electromagnetic fields. Health Canada continuously reviews these safety code to determine new adverse health effects, and Shared Tower Inc. attests that the national carriers co-locating on the telecommunication structure will comply with Health Canada's Safety Code 6 limits. And please refer to Health Safety Code 6 on the ISED Canada website for more information. Next slide. So to provide a bit of a background, Shared Tower Inc. is a 100% Canadian telecommunications company that specializes in building shared telecommunications infrastructure. They focus on deploying capital to help its clients reach customers faster and more efficiently. Again, what is being proposed is a 20-meter light pole style structure being proposed on this site that will provide greater coverage in the immediate residential community and provide future opportunities for co-location. Currently, there is no telecommunications tower in the immediate vicinity, and this installation will increase cellular connectivity, which is an increasingly important service. Where it is being proposed, so after much examination of potential areas, the most effective and least impactful location for the telecom structure is at the proposed address of 181 Livingston Street East. The proposed tower is located at the drive-through entrance of the Tim Hortons on a parking boulevard, and the compound will be located along the west property line beside the commercial building along the south, and we'll provide some images describing this more depth. So why is this installation needed? So due to increasing needs of voice and data cellular service in and around the immediate area of Livingston Street East and St. Vincent Street, Shared Tower has identified this location to resolve wireless connectivity and capacity issues that will meet current and future needs. So with landline use decreasing and the use of wireless devices increasing, accompanied by a shift to working from home, the wireless coverage need grows along with these changes. Currently, the area has insufficient wireless coverage to meet these increased demands. So the proposed new installation will significantly enhance current wireless service, and the tower height and design will allow for national carriers and local wireless internet service providers to improve their coverage and services to the local community. Next slide. So this illustration shows Shared Tower's effort to create wireless service that is consistent and reliable. In here, you'll see that there are no gaps in service and everyone is afforded the same level of service despite differences in geographical location. Next slide. However, as population increases and municipalities continue to expand, there is at times gaps in service that develop, as seen in the left picture. Shared Tower takes this opportunity to establish towers that would alleviate these gaps in service in order to provide a continuous level of reliable service, as seen in the right picture. So these towers also have a great capacity to support more service providers who can co-locate on their towers, which will provide cellular service to larger customer base. Next slide. So these pictures illustrate the effect that tall structures have on the propagation of signals from telecommunication systems. The picture on the left shows that the building blocks a significant portion of signals as seen by the radio shadowing area. This shadowing effect is one of the factors we consider when selecting a tower installation location. Next slide, please. So on behalf of Shared Tower Inc., Land Squared is proposing a 20-meter monopole light pole style tower, which will allow multiple carrier co-location opportunities. Next slide. Oh. So the tower will be located in the middle of the property at the entrance of the Tim Hortons drive-through. If you can see from compound 1, that will be where the tower is located. And the cabinet supporting the tower will be located beside the existing building to the south portion of the property and labeled as compound 2. So with this height, the tower can accommodate multiple carriers. Next slide. So in this portion of the presentations, we'll be talking about existing sites. Next slide, please. So the closest existing tower to the proposed site is a 48-meter tall co-locating Rogers, Bell, and Freedom Tower, approximately 1.2 kilometers away. So our proposed tower is the green pin, and this co-locating 48-meter tall tower is the blue pin. This tower is too far to provide optimum service for the coverage area. And the closest installation to the proposed tower is a 3-meter TELUS antenna, approximately 717 meters away, as shown by the purple pin here, and works as a booster and does not provide the same opportunities as a telecom tower would. And the next closest antennas is Rogers installations at the Georgian Mall. These installations provide no coverage to the target area of the proposed tower, as they are also approximately 1.2 kilometers away. So next slide. In the following slides, we'll be discussing the site plots and service currently and what service would look like after. So this following image demonstrates Rogers' existing wireless coverage from the tower located at 547 Bayfield Street. The surrounding lighter color shows the lack of coverage for those within the area surrounding the intersection of Livingston Street and St. Vincent Street. And the next slide demonstrates the coverage of the Rogers installation with the addition of the coverage that the proposed tower at this site would bring for the Rogers network. And as you can see, the proposed tower will work cohesively with the existing coverage from the other tower to improve cellular and wireless coverage for the area. So now we'll take a look at some photo simulations. And here, these are just the viewpoints of the photo simulations we have taken of the proposed tower. We'll show you before and after images. So view 1 is from St. Vincent Street. This is the before.
Jan, I'm just gonna jump in here just to make sure. Is everyone able to see the presentation right now? I'm just worried that some people might have lost their video here and being able to see it. Maybe by a show of hands of the attendees, if you cannot see the current presentation, can you put up your hand? Okay, so I think maybe we've perhaps got the situation rectified. Maybe if our technical team, okay, so yeah, I think we're good to go again. Sorry, guys. Okay, sorry for the interruption, Jan.
Oh, no worries. Okay, so this is the after image of the proposed tower from St. Vincent Street. The next view is just up Livingston Street East, and this is the before image. Next, we have the after image of the installation. Next slide. So LandsGrid has been working with the city's planning department to determine the most appropriate site for the proposed tower and has provided a rationale for this site through the submission of a justification report. The public is welcome to make any comments and provide questions during this virtual neighborhood meeting. These meetings are provided to gain public input on the following telecommunications tower proposal, as no plans have been finalized or approved. LandsGrid is delighted to have this opportunity to speak with the public and would like to open the floor to those of you who have joined us today.
We're now going to open it up for these questions. And as a reminder, you can raise your virtual hand if you do have that question. And for those of you, or if you are joining us by phone, you can press 9 to raise your virtual hand and 6 to unmute yourself. And again, once we have called on you, if you could just clearly state your name and your address and then provide your comment and question.
Perfect. So my name is Chris Carter. I live at 27 Meyer Avenue. That tower is pretty much being built in my backyard. I've got quite a few questions. First off, do we know if it has any health impact?
For sure. So I will turn to the applicant's team first, maybe to describe the type of tower and what it may house, and then to speak on those code, the safety code 6.
Great. My name is Dominic. I'm colleagues with Jan and Leticia, and I could jump in quickly. So this tower will host LTE technology to begin with, 4G LTE. It might have 5G technology in the future. All the technology on the tower or on the pole will be strictly monitored by Health Canada by Safety Code 6. All the carrier's equipment will have to fall within the regulations of Safety Code 6. Many times they're quite a bit under the regulations, so they don't just come up, meet the expectations of Safety Code 6, but exceed them. And we can have third-party engineers conduct their engineering studies along with Rogers in order to provide that before anything is installed on the tower.
All right, but mainly what I'm asking is, do we know if it's going to pose any health problems or concerns?
Again, as deemed by Safety Code 6, the equipment on the tower will be safe to house all this equipment, safe for the public to use and be around, and it'll all fall within those strict guidelines.
But those strict guidelines don't give you any sort of measurement on the scenario. Just like safety concerns say that there could be, bugs in your chocolate bar, they can still roughly tell you how many bugs will be in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so with the study I mentioned, we'll have the engineers come out and do the evaluation of exactly how much radio frequency is emitted from the tower, showing that not only will it be under Safety Code 6, but it'll show the exact percentage that'll be released to different areas surrounding the plaza, including the nearest neighboring properties.
Perfect. So right off the bat, as soon as you guys started this, seminar or webinar or whatever it is, you pretty much said that there's no plans on reversing this project. So even if he came around and said, this is how much radiation you're going to be getting, there's nothing really I can do about that, is there?
No, that's not true. We want to work with the public and area residents in order to make sure it's something that we can all come together and support. And so the radio frequency and the radio emissions that are emitted off the pole will be deemed to be safe. And they would never be allowed to pass Health Canada's tests in order to build the tower without that.
All I know is from my future research, or from my past research, there's not really anything that says it does or doesn't harm you, though.
Again, I can only refer to the Health Canada guidelines and the Health Canada studies and Safety Code 6, as that's what guides the telecom infrastructure and the equipment placed on the tower, which deems it safe.
Well, I'm going to be looking at this tower every day from my backyard where my kids run probably 2 feet away from that fence. I'm not saying like I don't use Wi-Fi. Everybody in 2022 does, but I'm just hoping that there is a different location that we can put this further away from the fence that I'm right next to, and somewhere where people don't have to look at it from their backyards.
Yeah, and we can definitely explore if there's anywhere else on the property within the guidelines and within the protocol that we would follow according to the city of Barrie, that we could place this. And we could even look, we've been looking with our planning team and working with the carriers at reducing the height, reducing the impact kind of aesthetically, slimming down the pole quite a bit, changing the color, doing different things in order to kind of minimize the impact on the plaza and on the neighboring properties. So I have some other photos I'm happy to share later, maybe after this meeting or at the end of this meeting, that we just got back. We didn't think we'd get them back in time. We've been working hard to try to make sure that the planning teams worked on that. And so I could share maybe something that we could look to pivot to in the future.
All right, well, I'm just going to leave that there because I mean, I have something I got to run into now, but I'm sure that other people are also going to have some concerns. But you said the emails that we receive will have more details on where we can still talk to get our concerns out?
I believe so. I believe, yeah, the municipality and we will continue to keep the public engaged and everything. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comments, Christopher, there. And again, if you signed up for the meeting, so we do have your email. And again, we will have the applicants team respond to you also in writing with what they've stated again, so that you have at least a written record of where you can go and find those links so that you can continue with your research and any other potential future questions that you may have. So thank you again, Christopher. So moving on to the next hand, I see that Robert has his hand up. So technical team, if you could have Robert on the floor.
Okay, my name is Robert. Well, call me Bob Colley, and I live at 20 Stoneheart Lane. It's the condo development just across the street of Livingston. And I have some questions here. Just on the location, I'm trying to, I think I've got a pretty good idea where this tower is, but not entirely sure. Is it at the, assuming St. Vincent is north-south, is this at the west side of the property, very close to the west boundary? Or
so
is it,
maybe,
go ahead.
For sure, Bob. Maybe if Leticia, if you could scroll your presentation over to the site plan image and then use your mouse just to identify where on the site that's located. So yeah, so you'll see where the mouse goes. So yeah, so St. Vincent does run north-south on this image, and where that's Livingston across the top, and this pole is proposed right at the entrance to that Tim Hortons drive-through adjacent to the parking.
Oh, I see. Yeah, from the previous person commenting, I got the impression that it was going to be right smack at the boundary line, the west boundary line, but that's not the case. It's actually where I pull in to drive through the drive-through at Tim's right at the start there. That's where this tower is going to be.
Yes, that is correct. And then again, based on the comments and things we hear tonight, the applicants team may explore different locations on that site to try and satisfy all these comments. However, right now, that is the location where it is proposed.
Yeah, pretty central to that property. Okay, thank you. And another question, the notifications of the public, I just happened to accidentally find out about this meeting. I didn't receive anything by mail or email or whatever. So I just was curious about the notification process and what has happened so far.
Yes, so the City of Barrie's protocol is that we circulate 3 times the tower height. So you should have been captured in the mail circulation, and if you weren't, that is loosely troubling, but we also post these in the newspaper and to our websites online. But in the future, we'll make sure that if it was a miss in terms of the capture that we use to capture the addresses on these properties, that we do, perhaps we'll have to revisit those protocols and just do a standard distance instead of the 3 times the height of a tower.
Yeah, I suspect that I might be, 70 meters from the tower, so maybe I wasn't captured in that case. And just one final comment, judging from the previous commentator and maybe other people who are listening in, I think it would be helpful if there was some background given to us for this Safety Code 6. I think that's the proper term. And that simply saying, well, it meets the code and stuff might not be comforting for a lot of the people out there, but just to say, okay, this code was developed in a certain manner, and that people could be assured, more assured that this safety code is really meaningful and is something that we could rely on,
For sure, and I think you raise a great point there, Bob. So maybe and I think Dom, as he mentioned before, I don't think he'll have any problem in maybe perhaps crafting just a little bit more of a detailed response in kind of what that code the Safety Code 6 exactly is, what exactly it looks at, what are the maximum range of the frequencies, what is the average frequency of these types of towers. I think you're correct that would go a long ways in perhaps alleviating some of these concerns. So what I think we're going to do, and what we're going to ask the applicant's team to do, is craft a response like that, and we will send it to all of the attendees tonight via email, so that you guys kind of get a little bit more detailed information on exactly what this Safety Code 6 is. And I think that would be acceptable to all parties.
Yeah, that's great, Tyler. That's all my questions, and thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, technical team. I'm not sure if Marilyn, I know we kind of jumped the gun on you there. So if you did have a question and you wanted to raise your hand, we can go to you next. We'll give you a second here. And well, if not, we'll come back to you. So if my technical team can maybe next move to Leonard, please. All right, Leonard, the floor is yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right, my name is Leonard Hastings. I live at 15 Glen Oak Court. I'd like to follow up on some of the comments the previous guy was mentioning. So we found out, my wife actually stumbled upon this on Facebook last night by sheer chance. And she sent me a link to, hey, have you heard about this? I'm like, no, I haven't heard about this. And it was late last night. I talked to a few of my neighbors this morning on Glen Oak Court, and they hadn't heard about it either. And reached out to our counselor, sent some messages on Facebook to say, hey, what the heck's going on here? Shouldn't the people close to this be notified? And she replied back and said that people within 240 meters radius of this should know about it. So we talked to a few people, and the people in our street didn't know about it. So my wife made up a little sheet with a barcode on it, and we went knocking on our neighbors' doors on our street, and to provide them information how they could find out. Well, on Glen Oak Court, we talked to 15 neighbors. Some didn't answer the door, right? Because they're probably, or about 20 neighbors on Glen Oak Court, and not one of them received anything from the city of Barrie on this. This is the first time they heard about this. So we took it further. This afternoon, I had some time, and I spent 2.5 hours, and I walked down Brownwood, and I only knocked on doors on one side of the street where I saw there was vehicles, and maybe they would answer. And some people did, a lot of people didn't. And I only found, I walked down Brownwood, and then Staller, half a Staller, the ones that backed onto St. Vincent. Then I crossed the road, and I went to Livia Hermingway, and then down Mayor. And I talked to probably 20 people myself. My wife talked to another 20 people earlier. We knocked on hundreds of doors, and out of the 40 plus people we talked to, only 3 people knew about this, and received a letter from the city of Barrie about this. And this is including people on Livia Hermingway that back right onto this, and on Mayor Avenue that back right onto this plaza. And a couple of them did receive something, but it's a shocking, like, what are you doing in the city of Barrie? You can't even notify residents of something
for
like
sure.
that?
No, and I promise you that you're making a very strong point, in sense that perhaps our telecommunications protocols aren't keeping up with the level of notification that the city provides for Planning Act applications, right? So the 240 meter radius that's used, that's for our neighborhood meetings, 120 meters for zoning bylaws and official plans. In the cases of telecommunications towers, our protocol says to notify within 3 times the height of a tower. So we would have only notified in this case in a 60-meter radius from this tower, which is why the folks on Brownwood, the folks on Stoller, some of the folks further down Olivia Herman Way, some of the folks further down Meyer would not have heard of this. So I think, again, you bring up a very, very strong point. The last time the protocols were updated was 2012. Again, I think it's definitely something that the city can look at, because this is, again, a common theme tonight.
Yeah, very common theme. So, but this is the public consultation, and you know, you've got, I don't know, you said you got 28 people signed up to be here. I don't know how many have shown up. There are like, if there are any health concerns with this tower, then there are literally thousands of people that are affected by the area that this tower will service, and very few people know about this. So that's a matter. You guys dropped the ball huge. I'm shocked.
Again, the city was following the council-approved protocols for telecommunications towers facilities. So in this case, again, they're not a statutory requirement of the Planning Act, and I can assure you that the city of Barrie does follow all of our statutory requirements in terms of the notification distances. So I understand that it's very much, it seems not transparent. It seems discouraging that not everyone was notified. And again, I think that is just a gap in our telecommunications protocols, because again, it hasn't been often that we've seen these types of applications, but of course, since post-COVID and through COVID, we've seen a lot more of these tower applications come in, and I expect that we're going to see more in the future. So perhaps this is something that as a city that we can look at and come to craft something better that serves us all.
All right. It would be, you know, as far as I'm concerned, this meeting should be redone with a better, more informed public in the area. But I'll leave that for you and the. I know our counselor is on this meeting. I think you guys should revisit letting people in the area know about this, because it's and that little sign you've got at the corner, like. What a joke that is. Who can read that and drive in a vehicle? The only possible way you could read that sign is if you walked past it. If you think that anybody driving past could possibly read that sign and comprehend what it says, then wow.
For sure. And again, there's lots of parts of our notification process, right? So that would include a sign, the mail notice, the newspaper, and the City of Barrie website. So again, I think you are identifying gaps here that we definitely need to look at, Leonard. Very much noted. And I think, I believe that the councillor will be speaking later tonight. So perhaps, you know, we can all come to a solid conclusion of this meeting with some detailed plans forward and how to better engage the public in terms of notification for these types of towers, since they're not part of a Planning Act application where we have a very detailed process on that notification.
Okay, I guess I've hammered on that point enough. I do have some technical questions for the team though. So you were saying earlier that it is going to be a 4G LTE tower. That's fine. It's not going to be 5G yet, but could be 5G in the future, I understand. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. As the technologies evolve, there could be 5G and future technologies brought onto the pole.
Right. What frequency? So that did cover the frequency. Is it ionizing, non-ionizing frequency?
That I would have to confirm with the engineers. I'm not sure off the top of my head that kind of granular technology kind of information. So I can confirm with that and send that out to everyone.
All right. So you don't have anybody that's on this call that is familiar with that, all right? Has your company, have they completed a simulated SAR study for specific absorption rate of these frequencies in the area?
I'm not sure what that is. They do provide all of the requirements to Safety Code 6 expectations to Health Canada before they start any kind of construction. And I'm not sure if that specific test or I guess study would be a part of it. I haven't heard of it. And so I would need to do some digging on my end.
Okay. So that's a no. Okay. So I guess don't know about that either. You mentioned that you're going to have some engineers that are going to do some measurements in the area. You mentioned that earlier, correct?
Correct.
RF readings?
Yep, exactly, yes.
So are they going to take before and after readings in my neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they could. And they could do even to specific addresses inside, outside the house. And then they can measure what the local Wi-Fi routers would be giving off, depending on the fiber-like technologies that come in the streets and what your Wi-Fi router, microwave, and everything would be giving off versus what the tower would give off.
Okay. I echo the comments and other people have mentioned about, none of us have any clue what this these government guidelines that you guys are following, what they are, and how good and stringent they really are. Like, you guys have a CEO of your company. Would he put this in his backyard?
I can't speak for him, but he's tried to get one on his recreational property.
Okay. And I would ask the same question to the members of our council in the city of Barrie. Like, do you want this in your backyard? Because this is going in, everybody in this meeting, it's pretty much in our backyard. Like, and there are a number of studies that say that, these things are not healthy. And, I know the industry has lots of studies that say they are. Of course they are, because they're paying the right people to say the right things and, patting the pockets of our elected officials to go along. And there are many people who find some of these studies.
For sure. And Leonard, just as a note here again, the City of Barrie is not the approval authority. It is the Industry Canada. So these studies, as you've noted, are reviewed by them, and we may not ultimately be the reviewing body of those. But again, just to remind you that there is a review process for these types of questions you're asking, and Industry Canada does regulate that and does ensure that there are limited or no adverse effects.
Okay. Well, I've lived in this area for 17 years in our house, and I don't have a problem with my cell phone around here, and I never have. And I realize that down at the bottom of the hill by maybe Crompton Drive, that they do have some poor signals in that area. So just wondering why are we putting a cell phone tower in our backyard to help others that are further away? Like, maybe we could go put this right in the backyard of our member of parliament, Doug Shipley. Like, this isn't very close to him, but he's on Brownwood Drive. Maybe we could go put it. Maybe you could pay the country club to use the back corner of their property and put this tower up. Maybe that could service that area better. Have you guys looked into that?
Yes, actually. So that's a very good point. We actually have a proposal with the Barrie Country Club right now, and the sites would work in conjunction. So there is quite a distance in terms of providing quick technology to all the residents in the area. And so they would be used in conjunction.
All right. So you're looking at another one in the future. Is that correct?
At the Barrie Country Club, yes. Yep.
All right. In the back corner of their property?
I'm not sure if a specific location has been agreed upon yet, but somewhere on the property. And again, it hasn't been finalized. It hasn't been completely agreed upon. It's just in the proposal stages.
All right. Is there any others around our area that we should be aware of?
There was a tower proposed at 128 Penetang Street, which is south of the highway and well south of this on St. Vincent, but that was our most recent telecommunications proposal in the city of Barrie.
Okay. Like, in the future, can we look forward to having these towers all over our neighborhoods?
Maybe I'll turn to the applicants team to answer those types of kind of coverage questions.
Yeah, thank you, Tyler. In the future, as the technology evolves and the speeds are needed for the Internet of Things like self-driving cars, smart cities, there will be a need for these poles, smaller poles, closer to the urban areas. And so in the future, yes, you could likely see more of these. They wouldn't be the expansive towers you see out in the country with the big wires, or even some of the towers we see along the highway coming into Barrie, but they would be smaller, more urban-like poles, kind of scattered around the urban area.
Okay, I guess I know I'm talking quite a bit here, and I apologize to the other people who have questions. I guess my question is just back to the city of Barrie and our councillor. Does the city of Barrie or the council, do they care that people oppose this? Because in my experience so far with proposals near here that have been opposed by the taxpayers, it didn't matter because ultimately it just went through.
And again, we have to remember that the city of Barrie is not the approval authority of telecommunications towers, or we would have much more say in where they are located. We have a telecommunications protocol, which clearly states where towers are not to be located, and that's in environmental protection areas, within a certain distance of the waterfront and in open space zones. And then we have guidance to guide these towers away from residential areas. But again, as Industry Canada is the ultimate approval authority, it is really based on the coverage requirements of the telecommunications carriers in where they are locating. Again, they can select a site. And again, through the pre-consultation process, we provide to an applicant and we suggest to them other sites nearby, which may be more appropriate. However, if they provide justification to us to the effect that that doesn't work for their coverage, then again, as we are not the approval authority, again, our role is to host the consultation and let the neighborhood know what's coming and do what we can with the neighborhood to make the placement on the site selected a little bit more palatable as much as we can. But ultimately, it is Industry Canada who makes these decisions, not the city of Barrie.
Okay. Well, I guess but your guidance is to not put it into residential neighborhoods, and this one's going smack in the middle of a residential neighborhood.
The protocol would speak to residentially zoned properties.
Oh, so because it's a commercial property that's smack in the middle of a whole pile of, residential neighborhoods.
And again, we have to be mindful of the coverage requirements of carriers, in this case, Leonard, right? So we have a protocol and we can make things work on site, but ultimately it's Industry Canada's decision and the carrier's decisions on where they need these locations to be able to provide the service that the people need. So in these cases, again, like we can try and find a different spot on this site, perhaps away from the backyards of these homes, closer to Livingston Street. But again, this is the site that has been selected.
Okay. So really what I'm reading is this is just a little bit of lip service for the residents, and come hell or high water, this thing's going through, and that's how I read it.
That's incorrect. Again, this is a consultation, again, about the site that's selected and the ways in which we can make this protocol work and make the site work. But again, we don't have the authority as the city to tell the carrier to locate somewhere else.
And even as the applicant, we also want to work with the community and the residents surrounding the commercial plaza. And so we are happy to take these comments back, see a proposal, and come back to the residents, to everyone in the community with something that would be more suitable for the area. And so from our end as well, in working with Tyler and the city, we and area residents, we want something that we can all come behind. We're not here either to kind of say, this is it, take it or leave it. Like, that's not at all our goal. We want to have this meeting in order to drum up some of these comments and recommendations.
Okay. Yeah, so again, we have provided the applicant with alternative sites. The applicant has provided us with justification as to why those alternative sites may not be best for their coverage. And again, so we work with the applicant and with the public to try and get the site that is selected to be as palatable as we can for the people in the surrounding area and the property owners.
All right. As part of the communication that you guys are going to provide to us, will you tell us what sites that the city of Barrie proposed as alternates to this, and as a company, could they let us know why they're not suitable?
I believe that
that would be transparent.
The applicant could perhaps speak to the consultation that they've been through.
Yeah, we're happy to share all of that information. We could send that over along with the other information requested earlier in the meeting, the Safety Code 6 information, the links to all of that. So we're happy to share that as well. Okay.
I will stop talking. I know lots of others probably have questions, and thank you. I'll put my hand
and again, Leonard, thank you for your comments. I don't want you to feel that, again, as much as this might feel like a lip service process, like much of these virtual meetings do, it's not, right? So again, we are here to work and make sites work and share the information that you are looking for. So again, the applicant and the city will ensure that the applicant provides these kind of details that you're looking for, so that at least you can have a little bit more certainty in what you're going to be doing with your property in the future.
Yeah, like, am I going to sell? Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Leonard. All right, technical team. If we could have Jody next on the floor.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Jody.
Okay, great. Yeah, so this is Jody Hicks. I'm with my husband, Andrew Conway, and we're at 33 Meyer. We arrived a little bit late to the meeting, but I really agree very much with everything that Leonard had shared, and a lot of the questions and concerns that he had. So I appreciate that the applicant will be sending us more information on Health Code 6. And I apologize if this was already answered, but I'm wondering, so what determines whether this proposal goes through or not? It sounds like, based on what you're saying, that the site has already been chosen. But yeah.
For sure. So I can speak about the city's protocol, but then I'll have to turn to the applicant to speak to the Industry Canada approval. So the City of Barrie's protocol is to first consult with a tower proposal, right? So Dom, Letitia, and Jan's team provided us with an application saying that they would like to locate a tower in this location. We circulate that to all of our commenting bodies in the city of Barrie, and they provide comment back based on that. So from planning, we ask them, hey, the protocol would suggest that we need to locate away from residential zones. Here are some alternative locations that we would feel ideal for this. Right, so that's what we provide to them. The applicant takes that information, they begin preparing their justification reports and all of the other kind of details that they need to be able to go through this protocol to receive what's called a letter of concurrence from the city of Barrie. And that letter of concurrence is the letter that says, hey, we have consulted the public, and the consultation was in line with the protocols of the city of Barrie. And because the public has been consulted, the city gives them that letter, and that is what they take with the other additional studies and the things that say, hey, this is the radio frequencies of these towers, and they provide that, I believe, to Industry Canada for their review. So I'll turn to the applicants team to maybe speak to what Industry Canada requires with your submission.
Yes, and thank you so much, Tyler. The city of Barrie is just one of the land use authorities that we would go through. We work with Conservation Authority, NAV Canada, MTO, Transport Canada, and then we bring our full proposal to ISED. ISED's already notified of this proposal. As we bring the application to them, they then, based on the comments from all the land use authorities, all the commenting bodies, will then make their decision to approve or not approve the proposal.
Okay, so what say, if any, does the public, like the residents in this area, have in that whole process, in the final decision-making process?
So in this case, the protocol, what you have is that this site that's been selected, we can work with the public through the city and the applicant to make this site work, right? So again, if that's moving this pole closer to the Tim Hortons building, if it's moving it closer to the corner, if it's moving it closer to Livingston, if the applicant's team goes and perhaps looks deeper at the alternative locations, and perhaps those alternative locations do work, right? So that is the level of consultation that is required by the municipality. Again, these are federally regulated telecommunications towers.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for responding.
All right, technical team, if we could go to Tina next. All right, Tina, you can unmute yourself and you've got the floor.
Okay, I have a question about the value of your home. I've heard that by having towers, whether it's those kind of towers, hydro towers, whatever, the values of our real estate is going to go down.
Yes, that is a great question. Sorry, Tyler. I'll just jump in.
I was just going to toss that question to your team, Dom.
Perfect. Yes, and the Industry Canada has done many studies over the years and has been found that telecom infrastructure, telecom towers, whether on rooftops, towers, light pole replacements, any kind of telecom infrastructure doesn't affect the house value in the long term.
It does not?
It does not. It does not. And we could also send some of that information along as well. There's studies and links to their detailed kind of studied explanations, how they go through that process, as well as all the other information.
I disagree with what the study has shown, but hey, if you guys can prove it, because you're saying that, not residentials, these towers should go into, there's no effects that they've been shown, but when was the last time they did a study? And because I've read that anything within 300 to 400 meters of residentials is not good.
Mm-hmm. And I'd have to confirm how often they keep up with their studies when they do the studies, but I believe it'll all be documented in the information on the Industry Canada both website and documents that we provide, and the dates and everything like that will be there.
Yeah, because this stuff is fairly new.
Right, yes, and I believe just like Health Canada, they're constantly evolving their studies, constantly reassessing things in order to make sure that telecom infrastructure is both safe and these home studies are done as well accurately.
Okay. And is it Rogers that will own this tower?
No, it'll be owned by a shared tower, and Rogers will be place its equipment on the tower.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina, for your comments. All right, technical team, if we could go to Danielle next. All right, Danielle, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. I got in late too, so sorry if I repeat anything. I really like most of Leonard's statements. I appreciate that. I've also read more about it decreasing property value, so it'll be interesting to see those studies. My main concern is obviously the health risk it poses on people. And since you're taking comments, can I give you some comments and facts on stuff that you can take to these planners, since I know it's more federal than municipality here. But you're telling me it's a 4G tower, correct?
Yeah, to begin with, yes.
Yeah, so 4G emits about 6 gigahertz, which is not as much as the 5G, which is 30 to 300, but it's proven that 2 gigahertz in a person can cause biological issues. They've also done studies on rats to prove that it causes diabetes in rats at 2.4 gigahertz. So what is this doing on the people around us? Not only that, but all the schools that are around, all the kids. I didn't get much notice on this either. I actually stumbled on Facebook like everybody else here. Because we're not within 60 meters of this. My house is 580 meters. Apparently that's not enough. There is a walk-in clinic 9 meters from that. That sounds great. Terry Fox Elementary School, 680 meters. And I could go on and on. This list exhausts me. But within 3 kilometers, there's 9 elementary schools, 3 high schools, and a community center. With a population of almost 200,000 in Barrie, that's from 2019. How many children do you think are at these schools that are getting infected with EMFs every day? It's disgusting. I didn't even account for Montessori schools, didn't account for any local parks, daycares, home daycares. Georgian College is within 5 kilometers from there, and many student housing too. So how is that going to affect all our health in the future? It's terrible to see this go in, and I really wish you guys would do more public knowledge on EMF radiation to people, because that's very important. I hear you brought up your safety. What was it? Sorry, the
safety code 6. Yes.
When did that come out?
It's been around. I don't know when the inception would have been, but it's been around for I would say almost as long as telecom infrastructure has been being deployed in Canada. So let me go back and see. It might have been brought around back when radio frequency was the only kind of frequency.
Okay, yeah, so that one's been around for a while, but basically they haven't done any studies since the 1990s on microwaves and EMFs and everything. That is proven, like it's based on studies from then. Nobody has updated it because they don't even know about this technology. So that's my concern.
I don't believe that's accurate. I believe they've done studies recently. I don't know how recent they would have to be. Again, that'll be sent over the information, but I don't believe it's been since the 1990s.
No, well, I appreciate that if you can send that, because unfortunately I only had a day to do research because that's all the notice I got. So I spent last night looking at all those addresses and figuring out how many kilometers they were. And I almost cried thinking about all the children that are near that. Like, that's a lot of children that you are screwing with their minds. Like, I just don't, and I know it's not you personally. It's just really unfortunate that Barrie wants to, well, again, they don't have say, but it's very unfortunate that they won't put up a bigger fight for this because it is very linked to cancer and other diseases. All you got to do is just do some research and get off Google. Use a browser that doesn't just filter it all one search. Anyways, stealth. What kind of stealth look is it going to have?
So maybe the applicant's team, if we could go back to some of the site images where it shows some before and after installation. I think they were a little bit later in the presentation.
Yeah, sorry, I will rewatch this presentation. I got in late because I had another meeting.
No worries, Danielle, no worries. We're happy to show this to you. So this is, you can see this is what it would look like with the installation. So they're attempting to use what's called a slim light pole design. So it tries and makes itself look like a large light pole.
Yeah, no, I understand they try to conceal it, but it's not for cosmetics, and I'm sure everybody here knows that too. But yeah, no, I think I'm done. 5G, it does, it's dangerous for airports too. So, or no, never mind, we're 4G. We're 4G. We're not at 5G yet. I think I'm done. I'm very upset. I'm sure just like everybody else here, and all in the name of technology, right? Just to get a smart city and for your smartphones. Well, I'll tell you right now, like I'm not asking for this. I'm not asking for faster speeds. Like, it's very unfortunate that that's what it's come to, but all right. It's going to be selling in Barrie really soon because this is pathetic. Not just this, sorry, just Barrie in general, what it's come to in the last few years. I think I relate to Leonard on most things that he talks about there. So I'll just, I'm done, because I think this will upset me if I keep going on.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments tonight, Danielle. So I think as we've gone through this, I think we've identified a lot of things that the applicant is going to need to ensure that they provide to you guys, the public, in terms of this. So again, we're going to be looking for some studies on just the details, I guess, of what the safety code 6 is. What is the acceptable range? Is this that sort? Anything on potential land values and those things. And then of course, just again, any sort of detailed information that we can provide the members of the public here, Dom, Letitia, and Jan, with again, the safety protocols and the safety of these types of towers. And again, so we will be expecting, you know, a pretty detailed response to what we've heard tonight. So I see Leonard has his hand up again, but we're going to pass over and go to Cindy. So Cindy has a chance to speak first before we move back to Leonard. Unless, oh, I just saw Leonard's hand go down. Maybe he didn't have any more comments, but we're going to go to Cindy.
Hi.
Hi,
Cindy. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
Okay, great. I'd like to thank the applicant for their presentation, and thank you, Tyler, for hosting. I think a number of the questions have sort of been answered that I had. I think it's fair to say a lot of us have been doing some quick running here to try to catch up and understand this industry approval process and the protocol that the city is involved in, and what role each plays. It's interesting to hear the mention of another tower closer than I would have thought a second one would be, the potential of one near the golf course. We're sort of smack in the middle of the one that's proposed right now, and perhaps the one that would be at the golf course. And I guess it's a little premature now, but my next question would be about the doubling up of some of this exposure. And then also just sort of speaking to the difficulty in sort of understanding the different levels and what role each organization plays in making these decisions. If these are going to be, as it sounds, more and more common in residential neighborhoods to make up these gaps in coverage, I think it might be worthwhile, just a sort of a comment to the city, that you might want to kind of put together a better, or just in general, an information package that explains how this works and how the city functions with respect to these approval processes, and that their role versus the industry responsibilities. Because I think it probably makes these meetings a little bit more effective when everybody kind of comes to the table with a better background. And again, I was I was the one who just found out last night that this meeting was taking place and that this tower was being proposed. And I also have a few concerns about accessibility for this meeting. A number of my neighbors are elderly, and they simply looked at me and, you know, shrugged their shoulders and went, "A virtual meeting? I don't even know how to do that." And so hopefully if they have questions, they can send them on and get them answered at a later date, even though they didn't attend this meeting. But they had questions and concerns that they weren't able to express, especially not with such limited notice. And if the communication is a sign that you can hardly see driving by, and then exposure on Facebook, I don't think that a lot of my neighbors who I can't attend a Zoom meeting probably follow Facebook very closely either. So it was kind of sad to see people feeling very left out in this process, including another neighbor who's visually impaired who said, "I don't even own a computer because I can't use it." So maybe just looking at other avenues to make, to be more inclusive and make these consultations and public meetings more accessible. But sure. I don't really have a specific question for the team at this time. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Cindy, for your comments. And again, I think, again, like as we've heard tonight, again, Cindy made some really great points, again, on on if these are going to be coming up, you know, faster and more often. It is probably good for the city to perhaps take a little bit more active role in how we inform the public about these. Again, the City of Barrie does have a telecommunications page on barrie.ca that kind of describes how Industry Canada operates separate from the municipality in these decisions. But I don't disagree that perhaps there can be some you know, a quick information package or a quick kind of cheat sheet that's included with the notification of these towers. And again, noting that that notification likely should be looked at to ensure that it is a wider net that is cast for these types of things. So again, thank you very much for your comments, Cindy. And I think as much as the applicant has to look at in terms of making this site palatable for the residents, I think the City of Barrie can also do likely a little bit more in terms of the notification and understanding of the process. So again, just to kind of recap what we've heard and to recap the process here, right? So this is an Industry Canada approval. These types of telecommunications towers are federally regulated, right? So again, the City of Barrie's role in this is the notification of the public. And as identified tonight, we can do more in terms of a wider notification of that and perhaps a little bit more on understanding what the city's role is so that the residents and all of you in attendance tonight can attend future meetings and make a little bit more pointed arguments and questions. And again, we're all getting educated in the process in this case, right? So with that being said, I think we're going to hear from Anne-Marie Kungl, Councillor Kungl. If you would, my technical team could give the floor to the Councillor Kungl there, and we will hear some remarks, and then we'll continue on with our closing statements. So I think, Councillor, we've elevated you to the panelist level now, so you can likely unmute your microphone and your camera and take it away.
Thank you. Can you hear me, Tyler? Okay.
Yes, we've got you loud and clear.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you to the team supporting you tonight. And you haven't seen me through this evening. Typically, I'm here observing, right, and listening. And of course, it's an interesting process around next steps. And I've been making notes behind the scenes to support some next steps on my end around the really valuable commentary on this. So I'll share a couple of things, but thank you to Jana and the team to share this forward. I know there was some limited information on the city website, so I'm giving some of that feedback and hoping that this presentation might be available and posted afterwards, just because the visuals do really help, at least around identifying the location of the intention of this. And have been in touch with the planning department for residents on the line to share some feedback that I was getting. In addition, just how do we be clear about when we talk a bit about planning meetings and neighborhood meetings, because how we define them does have very different distance and expectations, I believe, and we're hearing that around how residents are informed. So I think that I'll work on some of the improvement pieces we've seen. One in particular being maybe a direct linkage when such plans are identified under our development or 3-page that link to different policies like telecommunications. So I'll even share that was new for me to even know about that, and definitely something I'm looking at to bring to staff and council conversations. I look forward to hearing that, and really do want to thank Dom and the team for answering some of the questions this evening. I think it's really helpful, but also helpful for me to relay that back. For those residents and Leonard and others, I definitely hear you on this. And so again, I want to thank Tyler because it is out of our hands from a decision-making process, and it's very helpful for me to hear the concerns. So I will be looking at asking for a debrief, at least around how we support information back, the engagement process pieces and the accessibility that was spoken to. And I know we've got a few meetings coming up in the fall, but we'll be also looking at how we can get this tabled from a broader conversation. Dom, I appreciated your update about others. That is interesting. And just for residents on the line, while Ward 3 boundaries Springwater and the Barrie Country Club in name, you think it's in Barrie, but does fall into a different municipality. So we wouldn't have even had necessarily line of sight on that with our planning pieces. So that is very good to know. I do want to invite residents, whether you're on the line tonight or those that are in contact with other neighbors, to reach out to me. I will be looking forward to the feedback and what can be done. I have met and have been having conversations with other members of council that have experienced telecoms in the past, and even where design has changed. So really welcome, Dom, if you can share what might be possible, how this might look different, if there are different options there. I know in some municipalities, telecom towers even look like a tree in the space. So many things that I have to take away and look at that, but I do appreciate the clarification because I hear the angst around this, and I do want to make sure that residents know that we'll work to get more information, and then on my end, connect with me directly, and I'll actually look to see where we can improve the areas that we actually can influence or inform. And in addition, I will just do a courtesy reach out to MP Doug Shipley, because I'm assuming there might be some questions heading that way with respect to this being a federal level lens around decision-making and authority. And I'll leave it there. Yeah, do want to say thank you to those spending your evening and trying to get some information on this. I'm here to support making sure wherever possible I can help any further questions you have to get forwarded on. And we'll look at exploring ways in which we can look at options to broaden the engagement piece on this.
Well, thank you, Councillor. Yes. So again, just to reiterate some of those points that we heard tonight and what Councillor Kungl touched on, again, the City of Barrie's Development Services team is here to answer questions, is here to facilitate between, member of public and applicant and through councillor as well. Right. So again, we're going to ensure that the applicant provides the nitty-gritty details that we need to provide that certainty to residents in the surrounding area, so that you guys can all be confident with this and any future proposals that might come now that we are appears to be entering a world in which these coverages and the carriers are going to be looking to increase that, and it likely will have to happen in residential zones. So the faster that the City of Barrie and the Development Services team can get ahead of those things, I think the better. Again, as we've kind of mentioned before, once this kind of review process has concluded, and that's going to include responding to all of the inquiries we've heard tonight, right? So again, we're going to get that information from the applicant in a detailed fashion, and we're going to let everybody know and email that out. And if you have additional questions on what you receive and you need additional information after that, you can request that, right? This is what this process is for, and we won't be issuing that letter of concurrence until everyone's questions have been answered in a satisfactory way. Again, what we've heard tonight, we will take into consideration. And again, just as a reminder, there are no municipal permits or approvals required by this. It is a federally regulated proposal. But with that being said, I thank you everyone for attending tonight. And further information can be found on the proposed developments page for Ward 3. And perhaps the technical team can provide my email in chat. And again, my email can be found on the City of Barrie website, on the telecommunications tower page, and on the page for this specific meeting tonight. So that's tyler.butler@barrie.ca. Pretty easy to type in there. So again, please provide me with your comments, and I can forward those to the applicant. And again, we'll make sure that we get a response that answers everyone's questions in a satisfactory manner. So that concludes our presentation tonight. And again, thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for asking your pointed questions, because again, we know that these are and can be emotional applications, especially when we as the municipality have a limited scope in what we're able to do with them. So again, we appreciate your feedback, and again, please follow up me directly if you have any additional questions. So thank you everyone, and have a nice evening.